So, and then I came and Shake the Nations, and I realized that, hey, the skill that I learned, I can use it to share the gospel.
Standby program. Cameras rolling. Fade in audio.
I serve a God of miracles.
We want to welcome you today to Behind the Signs, where you will hear the untold stories of the harvest. I'm so excited today because we have our creative director with us, Mark Grevers. Thank you so much for being with us here today, Mark.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
I'm so glad to hear that you bring energy as you go to any place in the world. Mark, tell us today, what does a day look like for you as a filmmaker?
Well, it really depends where I'm at. I mean, most of the time, it's not the traveling to the gospel campaigns. It's most of the time it's here at the office doing this kind of stuff, and just editing, creating stuff together with all the people here at Shake the Nations. And then whenever we go out to the gospel campaigns, I mean, those are busy days. But it's fun.
That's
really
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love to hear that you use the word fun with work, and it's because it's a passion on what you do. We're getting ready to watch a testimony from the nation of Panama. Mm-hmm. And as we watch it, I want you to think of how you correlate fun with passion and the work that you do for the kingdom. Let's watch this testimony.
I came because of my daughter today. She's in a coma right now.
Your daughter is sick.
Y su hija está enferma.
She's in Pennsylvania right now in a coma, but I know she's
Está en
going to
It might be
Pennsylvania,
good
está en coma.
before we start this, it might be good to say this was my first gospel campaign.
Okay.
So we were sent here, and this wasn't an official Shake the Nations gospel campaign. But we were sent there, and it was my first. I mean, first time I was with my colleague Ross, and we were sent there. We didn't have any, at the time director wasn't there with us, and it was just kind of a free-for-all. So,
Wow.
I mean, this, and especially this miracle, it really has a place in my heart because it was the first.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
sorry.
I've actually seen this testimony literally around the world. And before we actually go into this testimony, I want to hear from your perspective, how can a testimony like this be impactful to a generation?
I mean, the thing what really touches me in the moment, and we'll see that, is I remember this testimony very vividly, and you don't realize it in a moment. While I was in a moment, I was blown away and excited because this guy had amazing healing, but it was when I was back in the editing room and watching the video over again that it started to dawn that this video is gonna impact
Wow.
people.
Wow.
But we'll talk about that.
Let's watch it. Let's watch it.
Su hija está enferma.
She's in Pennsylvania right now in a coma, but I know she's
Está en
going to
Pensilvania, está en coma, pero sé que Dios la va a sanar.
That's the power of God all over you. Father, in the name of Jesus.
Padre, en el nombre de Jesús.
Lord, let the angel of the Lord go to that hospital
Señor,
right now.
el ángel del Señor vaya hasta ese lugar ahora mismo.
Let me ask you a question, Mark. As we see this testimony, powerful testimony, from your perspective, how does success look like when it comes to capturing this moment?
Wow, I've never really thought of it like that. How it is successful. I mean, usually when those gospel campaigns begin, and it's such a day, you work towards it, and then you're on the stage, and you're so in the moment, just doing your job. And I think a lot of times at the moment I can look at it very objectively. So hey, I'm just there filming. I need to push some camera guys away from the team up there. You saw them, to get my shot right. I need to make sure it looks good. So when I come back, I can make the people happy, and with the shots there. So I would love to give you some spiritual answer, I'm really there in the moment, but really at the moment I'm just trying to get it right.
Nathan, this is Jose. You prayed for him earlier.
Este José, usted oró por él antes.
But he's just received word that she's opened her eyes.
Acaba de recibir la noticia de que ella acaba de
She
abrir
has
los ojos
raised her finger.
y que levantó un dedo.
Give Jesus praise.
Dale alabanzas a Jesús.
I remember when he came back in the testimony. the guy came back on the stage, and I remember back then, like, I was looking at my screen, I was holding the camera rig, and I was looking at it. I'm like, all right, I've seen this guy before, right? How am I gonna put him? How am I gonna put him? I'm like, isn't this the guy who with the Coma? And then they start talking about it, and I remember, like, you don't see it because we edited pretty well, but I screamed when holding that thing because I was just so excited. And then the success, the thing you talk about is, again, when I come back in the editing room and I look at it and I'm like, all right, this is really powerful. A lot of times I actually realize how powerful a story is when I'm back here. And then from that process, you go into putting it on social media. We use it in highlights, and it really, the success comes from when people come a year afterwards. Where to me, I've done so many testimonies and I've edited all these things, and everyone is super amazing and cool. But then a year later, where this testimony might be in the back of my memory, somebody comes to me, I'm like, whoa, that testimony, that video I saw on YouTube, I mean, it touched my life. I sent it to my sister, and like.
And I love that. And what you're talking about is impacting a generation through that testimony. That to me sounds like a modern day scribe. That's what you're doing. And talk to us a little bit about the passion behind what you do. See, as we see Evangelist Nathan preaching the gospel, there's passion behind that. But as I see you work behind the scenes, nobody sees it, but I see passion behind that. Talk to us a little bit about that passion and what drives Mark Grevers.
Well, before I work here at Shake the Nations, and obviously I can say I'm passionate about sharing the gospel, but before I really made the decision to follow Jesus, I was passionate about camera work. I love it, man. I love photography. I love videography and just creating a story. And it was when I came here that I found out, like, hey, I remember let's back up. I remember when I was in church, when I was a younger kid, and I always looked at the worship team and the preacher. And I knew the worship team, that ain't me, man. So then the preacher, I mean, I was a lot of times you look up to those people, and I'm a young guy. Like, I know it's gonna, if I want to get there, I can preach, but like you need some substance for that, right? So, and then I came at Shake the Nations, and I realized that, hey, the skill that I learned as a teenager and like when I was growing older, the skill I learned in videography, I can use it to share the gospel. I have a passion for this. I have a passion, and I can do this, and this is my way of being part of the body, and delivering the gospel, right? Nathan can preach on the stage, and he might be with 50,000 people in the stadium, but some of our videos, they're viewed a lot more than 50,000 times. So I mean, there's just power in that, man.
I love that. See, I love Mark's story because you don't see him in the cameras, but he's within the cameras with the passion to bring Jesus to a generation. And that blesses us all, what Mark is doing. Listen, Mark, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Man, I enjoyed it.
It's a blessing. And listen, guys, until next time, this has been Behind the Signs.
We want to thank you for watching. If you want to know more about Shake the Nations Ministries and our YouTube channel, why don't you click the subscribe button? Also, if you want notifications of our brand new videos, why don't you click the bell? There's so much more in Shake the Nations Ministries that you can get involved in. Why don't you click also the link to our website to find out more?
To find out more about our humanitarian arm, Hope of All Nations, make sure you click the Hope of All Nations button, where you can learn about us taking the gospel to thousands of children around the world and our work in the ground of the nation of Honduras.
We can't wait to see you next time.